So apparently Ralph Fiennes is pronounced Ralph Fiennes. So now you know that. And he's probably best known as the excellent actor he is. But he's also directed 2 movies prior to this, one of which I just saw. Coriolanus, which turned out to be an adaptation of a Shakespeare play, with Shakespearean dialogue in a modern setting, so yeah, not my thing. Fortunately, this one was very different, no Shakespearean dialogue here. Instead, this one is about a young Russian ballet dancer. Or Soviet, I guess I should say, since this takes place in the 60s. And it's apparently based on a true story about a real person, too. But anyway, this guy's born into poverty, but soon grows up to love dancing, and essentially dedicates his whole life to that from a fairly young age. Although it is repeatedly stated that he's actually older than most students. Why that is, I'm not exactly sure, since they definitely showed him starting at a very young age. But regardless, the movie jumps around a little bit within the timeline. Most of it is split between his time at the institute, where he learns how to dance, and his time in Paris, France, a few years later, when he's there to perform with his dance company. But we also occasionally get a few glimpses into his childhood too, and that's how we learn that he's definitely not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But the core story here is essentially about him growing up, learning to dance, and his aspirations to be one of the all-time greats in ballet, because of his deep passion for the art. Meanwhile, he's obviously living in Soviet Russia under a stifling regime, which isn't exactly the ideal environment for a budding artist like himself. So he's gotta sort of figure out how to navigate that world and deal with the situation. Now I gotta say, I couldn't really care less about ballet. I don't get it at all, but then a movie like this comes along, and I basically forget that it's all about ballet. And it really is. There is a very heavy emphasis on the dancing itself and everything that goes into it. But if you do it right, like they did here, it can still make for a very compelling movie. Even if I don't care about the subject matter itself on any level. Because the writing here is very solid, especially when it comes to the main character. And the main performance by Oleg Ivanko is definitely not bad either. Especially for a first movie, it's not bad at all. I was kinda impressed. It's also probably not easy to star in a movie like this that's very physical. And I don't know if he's actually a dancer or what, but he definitely convinced me. But the good things don't end there, it's actually a beautifully shot movie too. Ralph Fiennes knows what he's doing behind the camera, which is also clear in his first movie. But here he also plays a teacher and does a great job as usual. Although I wouldn't say he has a massive role in it exactly, but it's crucial nonetheless. And you know, I liked pretty much all the supporting cast in this too. Especially Shulpan Kamatova, who plays the teacher's wife. She doesn't have a massive role in it either, but it's definitely crucial too. So overall, I like the writing, the casting, the direction, the cinematography. Unfortunately, the pacing wasn't really ideal. I liked the beginning and the ending. They felt well paced. But the whole thing just sort of sagged a bit there in the middle. There's a significant chunk in there that didn't feel like it was really moving forward. I feel like it kinda lost momentum there for a while and kinda stalled. Now fortunately it did eventually pick up steam again, so that was good. Otherwise I probably would have been bored by the end of it. But I wasn't, it redeemed itself, and overall I did enjoy it quite a bit. I wouldn't call it exceptional, a must-see or anything, but it's pretty solid. It did most things well enough and managed to make a subject matter I don't really care about kinda compelling. So would I recommend it? Sure, why not? But again, I don't think it's a must-see. So you can skip it too. Or do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need to fly to Paris to absorb some culture. And hey, why not drop a comment below or check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.